I don't know why he keeps doing that little flashy thing, but hey, everybody, welcome. Dadman Walking 55 here. 1 minute after 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and wow, what what a year! We just had our 1 year celebration stream last Saturday on the date 1 year, and look at us now. Tonight is a milestone. It is the first, I guess, circle around the trip for one of the channel's flagship programs. The SEC 20 this year will be 2023 SEC Weekly with Dadman. Oh my goodness, it hit me today that holy crap, we've been here a year, and this is going to be the second cycle. We got a lot of new guests coming up this year. We have some repeats, and we have some very new people. It's amazing what's grown, how the channel's grown since last year. We're up to 446 subscribers. Picked another one up today. So get the word out. There's probably more people that like football than want to admit it out there these days, but hey, it's all good. Thank you for everybody and your support for the channel so far. Two things. Hey, and we're going to have some fun with this. And I will say that I do hope to, during the football season, have more nationwide type streams. Talk about some of the other conferences around the nation. Do hope to talk about the NIL and more on the ongoing expansion of college football. This season, well, there's a lot of realignment already. The Big 12 has had an influx of teams from the American Athletic Conference. But this next year, 2024, will be a time of great change, not only with Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. The Pac-12 will be no more unless there's a miracle. They got half the league going to the Big Ten and the other half going to the, I guess third, and then you got the poor Oregon State Beavers. My Beavers are finally getting good, and now they're going to get into wasteland of conferences along with Washington State, Cal, and Stanford, unless something happens with them. So that is an ever-changing story. Watch for more movement. It will be interesting to see what happens to some of those traditionally larger schools, whether they merge into like the Mountain West or if they can find a way to get into one of the larger power. Well, we're soon about to have a Power 4 conferences, not Power 5. Excuse me. So, hey, thank you for that. Thank you for everybody being here. Just wanted to say hi, give you kind of a little update of where we're going, at least try to go and see how this year goes. We're going to have some fun with this, chill back with football, and hey, see where it goes. And you want to see some Dadman rants? I might do it this year. I tell you, it was a struggle with some of these teams trying to figure out where they would go and how they would finish. And just wait till you see it. But hey, we got 5 people here watching. Make sure you follow us on that the Twitch side and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube side and hit that bell to get the notifications. So we've got 2 people at least here in the chat right now that's looking. Hey, Castle, he's firstish. Yeah, that's okay. And he's lurking. Good to see you. We love lurkers too. You're all great too. So, hey, understand how that is. And Brian Hepburn, good to see you, my friend. All right, coming in with the football. No, we're not going to talk about mascots tonight. I don't think we could handle mascots. Plus, I got 49 slides to go through, so we got a lot of information. Thanks to the missus and stuff. And start the Darth Maul rant. Well, I kind of did that last night, studying when I did another live stream last night, a chill stream after watching the Ahsoka show. Oh, Lord. Anyway, but hey. That was a rant at times. But hey, anyway, and Castle, yes, melee that button. And hello to the beautiful and lovely missus. Good to see you tonight. All right, so the slides that we have this week will be, well, and really every week will be all due to her and her hard work. So, it's the hard thing with having websites up sometimes is sometimes you start to read the news stories and you kind of get distracted. But hey, it's all good. Let's see. So I'm going to bring the screen up. We're going to start moving things over. Just trying to give people a couple minutes to get back in here and see where we go with this. So, you know what? Go for it. Why not? At this point with the mouse, I'm fine with anything they do. It might as well. But hey, oh my goodness, it is crazy. So, but hey, we'll see. I'm going to actually start a poll here and just see, what y'all think. Who will win the SEC 2023 SEC college football? Let's see, football championship. This will be the game in Atlanta at the end of the year. The East plays the West. And so we're going to give you the obvious choices. So we're going to have Georgia, who's a back-to-back repeating national champions. Alabama. We're going to take LSU. I mean, we're going to do the ones that actually have a chance. And Tennessee pops up in there. This Gator fan mad that they passed us by, but hey, vote early, vote often. Tell me who you think is going to win: Georgia Bulldogs, Alabama Crimson Tide, LSU Tigers, or Tennessee Volunteers. So hey, but let's go. Let us go. We'll bring in the screens. We'll bring in the shots, and here we go, my friends. So so I love that. Alabama. Well, they got a fight with LSU though, and yeah, I know. I wonder, Castle, is it the coach or the team? So that's the thing. We will have an Alabama fan though. We will have an Alabama fan on one of our weeks, so, and a couple of Auburn fans. Alaska, obviously. Okay, there you go. I wouldn't expect anything less stunning. So let's see. We go live here. We go to the big screen, and we're 8 minutes in. So, all right, folks, we're going to go. We're going to bring it in here. And remember, folks, one thing that we do around here is we are not a gambling website. We do not condone gambling. Everything that you see will truly be for entertainment purposes only. And that's about it. So, this is, there we go. Thank you, StreamYard, for working finally. Oh, coach, yeah, that will do it many, many times. I don't like Texas A&M because of their coach. Jumbo Fisher used to be the coach at FSU, and there's a lot of stuff, Castle, about how he left FSU that I don't say on air. It's like, but you die laughing. So anyway, it's kind of sad, but hey, anyway, I digress. But so, folks, this is not for gambling. We're just having some fun talking about football. Hopefully, everything will, hopefully we'll have fun with this tonight. Don't plan on betting on anything with this. Like I said in the tweet, I'm just guessing. So, hey. yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right. That's cool. All right. Sounds good. All right. We'll keep it going. Well, hey, remember, it's just have fun about football, and each week that we will do this, that's what we'll do. What happens at the start of each SEC season? In July, they held the SEC Media Days. It's usually in Atlanta, but they've moved it around. I think this year, the 1 year it was in. I think next year the talk is they're going to actually move it to Dallas to welcome in Oklahoma and Texas joining the Southeastern Conference. But they get together. It's a time where the schools come, the coach comes and talks. Some of the star players come in and they're interviewed. Everybody dresses up. It's kumbaya. Everybody feel good, slap each other on the butt moment. And, you have fun, a big party. Then the media writers get together. They vote on the rankings and who will finish in what positions. Well, in each year, if you remember, if you were with us this year, we did the same thing last year. Can you not believe it? This is second cycle. Yay. All right. So in this vote, each position ranks a certain number of points. So then they total up the whole points. So as we see, the media has chosen Georgia to win pretty convincingly the SEC East. This would mark the third time in a row in the championship game. And actually, they won the national title 2 years ago, having lost the SEC championship game. But last year won the SEC championship game and won the national title. So we'll talk more about Georgia in just a moment with that. With 265 of the first place votes, with 2,011 points, followed by Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky with one first place vote, Florida, Missouri, and how the hell does Vanderbilt get 8 first place votes? That's what I had to go back and double check, and it says those are first place votes. And I'm like, Vanderbilt had a good season last year, but I'm sorry. I don't know which is worse, the 8 for Vanderbilt or the 1 for Mississippi State. So go figure. But this is pretty much close to what it finished up in the conference last year. And we'll take a look at each of these teams a little bit as we go through. Now in the West, we got a different situation because in the West last year, 2022 ended up with a switch and a change at the top where LSU ended up winning the Southeastern Conference Western Division and played Georgia in Atlanta to lose 50-30 in a game that was not even that close. But it was a great year for LSU in its first year under head coach Brian Kelly, who had come down from Notre Dame. But as we see, the media split a little more on them. Alabama did get 165 of the first place votes, a majority of them. LSU got 117 first place votes, but Alabama still point-wise came out about 61 points ahead of LSU in the voting. So the media predicts a Georgia-Alabama SEC championship game meetup. LSU then will go in second. And then in the far distant, and this is where the West really separates, is between Alabama, LSU, and the rest of the field. And this is the way I feel when you see my prognostication for later. It's you have the halves in the West, and then it just plummets off a cliff, kind of like going into the wilds in Fortnite. A&M with 1,144 votes, just ahead of Ole Miss at 1,128. Of course, Arkansas with 3 first place votes at 958, followed by Auburn and Mississippi State for the bottom. So we shall see. That's what the media says. There's a lot of turnover this year. We'll see how things go. The predictions this year seem to mirror the finishes last year, except for Mississippi State was not last. That was Auburn and Texas A&M. But apparently they predict that A&M will get back on track this year. So, and Auburn will be a little bit better, but Mississippi State will plummet. So, all right, folks. So then let's go there. Okay. Well, first, we're going to follow the order of the media selections. We're going to preview the teams, and we're going to show where they are according to their scheduled finishes. And then we will show my prognostication at the end. The Georgia Bulldogs play at Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, and I should have gotten a picture. I will one time this year, but hey, beautiful stadium if you ever get the chance to go into it. Beautiful campus, beautiful town of Athens, Georgia. Coached by Kirby Smart. He's been at Georgia for 7 years, amassed an 81-15 overall record. The Bulldogs come in as both the defending SEC and national champions, finished 15-0 overall and 8-0 in the SEC. And that plus the SEC championship game win over LSU, 50-30. They outlasted the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Peach Bowl in a dramatic 42-41 win, including a missed field goal late for Ohio State. That was a heck of a game. If you ever saw a game and you're like, that was a back and forth, really, really crazy situation. So, then you get anticlimactic. Normally these games are supposed to be good in the championship game. Well, they just dusted away TCU. My friend Whoopa, my apologies to the Big 12 brethren out there. They got trounced 65-7. I remember watching that game, and it was just like, But hey, go SEC. Woohoo! The last time the Georgia Bulldogs did not make a bowl game was in 1986. So they are going on 17 years without a bowl game. And I remember those years. Did I care? No, I loved it as a Gator fan. So we got the Georgia Bulldogs. We coming in this year. All right. They returned 14 starters, 6 on offense, 7 on defense. They returned the punter. One of the biggest questions that they've got is they've got to replace the quarterback, Stetson Bennett, who was a Heisman candidate, became a 4th-round draft pick for the Los Angeles Rams. So Georgia has to, does have some key holes to fill this year. They do come back with some experience, 5 seniors, 13 juniors, so a lot of upperclassmen, 3 on offense, 2 on defense as seniors, and then in the junior class, they've got 7 offense, 5 defense, and a kicker, place kicker, and then obviously you can see the sophomores on defense and the punter. And 1 freshman breaking the starting lineup is what's projected by Lindy Sports Southeastern Preview. So, and that will be my sources of information is Lindy's Sports Southeastern 2023 Preview. Excuse me a second. I don't know. My throat's got itchy tonight. All right. So with Georgia, here's a few things that we've got coming up with them. As I mentioned, they've got to replace Stetson Bennett. Very effective quarterback. The story was a rags to riches story with him. Actually walked on at Georgia, left to go to junior college, came back, got a scholarship on the bench, and outlasted JT Daniels, a big recruit, a big guy that transferred all around the country. And there was a freshman that was ahead of him who melted down in a game, and Stetson came in, stemmed the tide, and then took the job, never to relinquish it. Not the most talented quarterback, but damn, he was effective. And, give me an effective quarterback. I've seen so many average quarterbacks that turn out immensely better than the high stud recruits. So, and not only did they have to replace Stetson Bennett, really they're in a mode of reload and repeat, which is, the seniors move off, the juniors to go to the NFL. They've moved off. Now is this next guy's up. The younger people come in. The bench players behind now moving to starting positions. Is really a good problem to have. And, the championship defense, is will they defend their championships? They've won 1 SEC and they've won 2 national championships in a row, which is interesting because if Georgia can win the national title this year, they will do something that has not been done in the modern AP era of college football. AP being the voting for the national champions by the Associated Press. The only time the college has won 3 national titles in a row was the University of Minnesota back in 1934 through 1936, before we had the AP poll. So Georgia is on the cusp of doing something that has been done only one time before and not in modern football times. No. And we look at Georgia, as we mentioned about reload, repeat. They've got, we look at the comparison stats between the last 3 years. As we see, 2020 was a solid year, but 2021 is when they really, won the first national title. And in 2020, let's see, in 2021 and 2022, the offense just kept getting more and more efficient. So it's you look, what they've done is really, really incredible. How a team gets better offensively, and yet they still have a stingy defense. Between 2021 was even even more of a top defense than last year, and it's really, really hard to believe. as good as the Georgia defense was in 2021, they still only ranked 49 in turnover margin. Um, let's see. I'm researching something real quick. So I needed to double check something real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Clemson Tigers. Let's see. Sorry about that, folks. There was something that came to my mind that let's see. Clemson Tigers. All right. But hey, as we can see, the let's see. Hold on, it did not work right. Oh man, goodness my gracious. Thank you for everybody that's here with me today, and I appreciate y'all being here. And just love football. Love y'all being here for this. So yeah. All right. So all right. Interesting. Could not find that. So hey. But hey, thank you for 6 people being here. But as you can see, Georgia offensively has been dominant in recent years, especially last year. The efficiency of that offense was really, really amazing, even more impressive than in 2021. And even though the defense stepped back a little bit, giving up a few more points, but still top 5 defense, stingy on the ground, and both, per game. Just amazing what Georgia has done and what they've become. Everybody looks at Alabama as a legacy team. Well, the University of Georgia's, in the process of doing that themselves. All right, so the media has Georgia finishing first in the SEC East. So then we moved to the University of Tennessee. Good old, God, I hate that God blessed freaking song. Damn. Yeah. I spent all week as a Gator fan getting pissed off by listening to that song on repeat. So, Rocky Top. Hey, anyway, but it's interesting to hear the story about that song to begin with. But hey, we got the Tennessee Volunteers that play at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, coached by Josh Heupel in his 3rd year at Tennessee. Has amassed an 18-8 record in 2 years. Overall, 46-16, and 4 years of coaching previously at the University of Central Florida. So the Gator boys, we are the boys from old Florida. Yeah, even Florida's got a stupid song. So yeah, the Gator boys. But we'll see what happens this year. It's going to be interesting. Oh my goodness. Yes, I know some Tennessee fans. I really miss one in particular. And I know if Wade's anywhere around here, I'm waiting for him to pop up with his head in the sky somewhere. But Tennessee had an amazing year last year. Come out of nowhere a little bit, but after 20 years of misery, Tennessee looks to have a bright future. They finished second in the SEC East, 11-2 overall, 6-2 in the conference itself. Really, losing at Georgia, and then just the disappointing whatever that blowout was at South Carolina was just amazing. But they did rally even after the loss of Hendon Hooker, which, by the way, Hendon Hooker's name got flagged in our chat last year. I remember that. So there you go. Thank you, YouTube, benevolent overlords. But Joe Milton comes in, completes the season, capping it with an Orange Bowl win over Clemson, 31-14. The last league title for Tennessee was 1998, the same year they won a national title. What was so satisfying about that was that was a year after Peyton Manning left, and Peyton didn't ever beat Florida, and he didn't win a national title. So I'm happy. Up yours. I'm sorry. I guess I got to be professional. But anyway, last time no bowl for Tennessee was 2020. So they returned 6 on offense, 6 on defense, in terms of the projected starters. By class, they're a very heavy upper class team. So, yeah, y'all sing the Bobby Boucher song. There you go. But yeah, 18 seniors. It's a lot. You do not see this many on a team really very often, including the place kicker coming back. So this would be a year for Tennessee. If they're going to do it, make a move, this would be a year for Tennessee to do it. Means that next year they may be more of a reload situation. But then again, as you can see, with so many juniors, so many seniors, there's room for improvement. They're up and coming. And the talent, will the talent step up? Honestly, the big change I've seen with Tennessee is that they've actually finally got a competent head football coach, and who just got a contract extension. And that's a significant thing because it shows the coach is planning on staying there. You look at Florida a couple years ago, had a coach got distracted with the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys and promptly fell off the face of the planet. And now Florida's been in turmoil since then. So, but basically, Tennessee is there. The future's bright, like I said, for them. One of the best things, and we'll look into it and talk about it more coming up, they get the Georgia Bulldogs at home this year. 100-something thousand fans singing God Bless frickin' Rocky Top the whole time. Not a great thing, but hey, we shall see. Looking at Tennessee, you can tell over the course of 3 years how much improvement Josh Heupel has brought to this school. Even in 2021, in his first year, almost double the points in offensive production. Defensively, they were still a little bit weak, but just the massive improvement on the offensive side of the ball, which then even got better last year with even more productivity, both throw more in the air than they did the previous year. But 525 yards a game, you're not going to argue with that. And even if they gave up 405 yards a game, you a lot of times think that may not be great, but a lot of that happened in trash time with some of the easy wins that they had. So, but one of the biggest improvements is when they ball protection and stealing a stingy defense, because one thing you could always count on Tennessee before, it's not getting turnovers. See, in 2020, they were a -5 on the turnover margin, improved to +3 on the 2021, and then +11 more turnovers than that they took away from the other team than they gave up in 2022. So you've got a Tennessee, future's bright. How does it play out? We don't know. Which then brings us to the next team, the South Carolina, yes, you can say it, Gamecocks. Go Cocky. Yes, their mascot, they have one mascot called Cocky. So, and of course, they got another one that's a live bird that apparently there's like a custody battle over. So, go figure. Leave it to South Carolina. They got to be different. But hey, they play in the Williams-Brice Stadium in the great city of Columbia, South Carolina, coached by Shane Beamer, who is entering his third year. Overall, he's 15-11 in 2 years at the school. In 2022, they finished with a third place spot in the East, 8-5 overall, 4-4 in the conference, and lost in the Gator Bowl to Notre Dame by a touchdown and extra point. The last, Brian, yep. That will happen this year too. Yes, that will be a matchup too. So the last league title they had was in 1969 when they were members of the Atlantic Coast Conference. The last time that they did not have a bowl go to a bowl game was in 2020. Remember, in 2020, a lot of times the bowl games shut down. Either they didn't play it, or if they did try to, the teams ended up not having enough rosters because of all that quote precautions. So so it's not surprising to see so many with no bowl game in 2020. Again, they return 11 starters, both in special teams. Of note, their punter is a damn good thrower. The one touchdown that they scored against Florida last year was on a fake punt where the punter threw it, and he actually threw a couple touchdown passes last year. So go figure. It's great when your punter can produce offensively on the scoreboard. They are also a heavy upper class squad. Projected starters coming back 12-9, the seniors and juniors, including the kicker and the punter. as a projected. And the reason the note projected is that's what's anticipated, of course, again, by Lindy Sports Southeastern Preview 2023. They are all in practice right now. They're all in camps getting ready for season. So, things are fluid. People can either get hurt or, they outperform others. And so the projected, but as of the date of the information, these are the projected classes, projected returning starters that are there. All right. We look at South Carolina, a market improvement on offense though last year, almost 10 points a game more, about 50 yards more offense a game. Gave up a lot more yardage on defense, and they really they gave up the ball quite a bit. But overall, improvement from the previous year, ended up at 8-5. So you got improvement there. It's a good, it was a good squad. Although watching their season, they were really up and down at different points. Because they had one of the, it's a team that actually at one point of the season looked like that they were a flop, that they were going to really fall flat on their face. But to give them credit, they rallied near the end of the year and actually performed pretty well down the end, including crushing Tennessee at home and going on the road to beat Clemson, a top 5 team, and actually spoiling Clemson's shot at getting into the playoffs last year. Last year they lost to Missouri, they lost at Florida, and there's a lot of which got them at the 4 losses, and they got a lot of talk against them. But then they rallied to beat Tennessee, and who knows what, 63-38, folks. Tennessee did not give up near that many points again last year. That was a bizarre game. And even though South Carolina was playing better last year, not 63 points. The other high game was point-wise for South Carolina was 56 against Charlotte and 50 against South Carolina State. But they proceeded to beat Tennessee at home and Clemson on the road 31-30 before losing to Notre Dame in the bowl game. So I give South Carolina some credit. Like I said, finished strong with upsets of top 10 Clemson and Tennessee. They returned the starting quarterback Spencer Rattler, who was an Oklahoma transfer that people were kind of not sure how he was performing, but he down the stretch he did it. And they need to cut down on the bad losses that they have. The bad losses last year were to Missouri and on the road against the Gators. Those 2 wins, if they'd have won those 2 games, and of course what was bad about the Florida game, they were not even close in that game, 38-6, and then losing to Missouri 23-10 at home. So those are bad losses that would determine, South Carolina's future, how they'll do. So you can't, if you want to beat the Georgias and Tennessees and stay up with them, you can't lose to Florida and Missouri. So, all right. Well, hey, we will move on. Again, the Kentucky Wildcats, the media projects to finish 4th. They play at Kroger Field in the great, beautiful bluegrass state of Lexington, Kentucky. And I tell you what, if you have never been to Kentucky, you need to go, especially with Mrs. Dadman and let her be your navigator. When the Garmin tries to take you off into Banjo Land, and then she's sitting there tell you, you're doing good, just a little further. Gosh, she did great on that trip. Yeah, we were hearing banjos on that one. In 2022, Kentucky finished 4th in the SEC East at 7-6 overall, 3-5 in the conference. They lost in the Music City Bowl. This is my friend Whoopa Troop. I wish he was here. He loves to give the SEC crap. How do you lose to Iowa? Yeah, Music City Bowl lost to Iowa 21-0. That's in Nashville. You know what, missus? I think we have to go to the Liberty Bowl next year. You know why we need to go to the Liberty Bowl? Because it's in Memphis, and you know what's in Memphis? Uncle Lou's Fried Chicken. I love that place. Anyway, the last league title for the Kentucky Wildcats was in 1976. They were co-champions that year. The last time Kentucky had no bowl game was 2015. So, folks, look at what Kentucky's done. This is remarkable to show how this program has improved over the years. It really it does, because this is a team that used to never make bowl games and stuff, but now that they've managed to make bowl games for at least 7 years in a row, it's a feat for the program. And like I said, Mark Stoops, he's been there 10 years. There's no coincidence there. When you can have a head coach that can last and wants to stay at your school, you can develop a solid program long-term down the road. Mark Stoops is 66-59, all 10 years of coaching at Kentucky. That's like I said with Josh Heupel. If he doesn't show signs to be dancing with the NFL or other schools, so you got a good thing when you have some stability like that. Starters are returning 12 starters from last year. Again, a little more split between upper and lower classmen, but still they return a senior kicker, 6 on offense. They have to replace their quarterback. They have an NC State transfer that's come in this year, so that's instead of having to play a freshman or completely replace, they do have a player with some playing experience, which does help you, because we're going to see a little bit later, folks, that how the quarterback position, really dictates how a team finishes and performs during a year. There's another school with a transfer quarterback that I'm going to be a little less nice to, but they Dennis. I was about to say Dennis Leary, but it's Devin Leary. Devin Leary was a transfer in from NC State to his last healthy season was at NC State in 2021. He threw for 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions that year. But the thing could be health issues with this quarterback, because he, like I said, he was not healthy last year, and he broke a leg, which ended his 2020 season, and a torn pectoral muscle ended his 2022 season after 6 games. So his numbers are good, but what about, will he stand up? Hell to you, JT Kirk. Go Gators. Thank you, sir. Good to see you tonight. Thank you, sir. All right. So there's Kentucky. We'll see what happens. A lot of you're going to see the performance will definitely be factored by influence of how well the quarterbacks played for these teams. As we see, Kentucky had a big year the previous year with 31 points a game on offensively, but then just plummeted last year in 2022. Not a good offense at all, but barely 320 yards a game. Injuries to Will Levis, very efficient. That's a quarterback that I do not understand how he got drafted where he got drafted, because he did not perform in college. But I'll say something about another quarterback in a little bit about it. But, again, you can look at trend lines with these stats between years. Kentucky is not effective when they only rush for 116 yards a game. The previous 2 years, they were nearing 200 yards a game. So a school like Kentucky drives, and with Mark Stoops' coaching philosophy, is really suited to the run game. And, and when they're not running the ball, they fall apart. Defense was very respectable last year at 19 points a game. So, the defense can keep you in some games, like their game against Florida last year. Florida, they did nothing against the Gators, really. No, let's see. Let's take a look at that thing. It's another nightmare. Yeah, Dadman flashbacks right now. Because, yes, they won at Florida 26-16 by scoring 2 touchdowns, at least 12 points, 12 of the 26 points, plus the conversions, because Anthony Richardson just gave him the ball. One, he gave him the ball at like the 10-yard line, and the guy ran in, and then the other picked it, but he tackled him at the 6, but it essentially just bounced it in. And then there was one, which was a telegraph across the field pick six that was run back 80 yards or 70 yards for a touchdown. So, your defense can hold you into the games and can keep you in. So we got 7 great people watching tonight. Hey, thank you, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button, smash it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We appreciate your support. We love you, lurkers. If you want to say hi, just say hi. And if you're on the Twitch side, make sure you follow us over there. So I do not know my voice tonight. Sorry about this, folks. All right. So that's the Kentucky Wildcats. Keys, looking back, replaced Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez, the running back. Last year, they were 0-2 against Tennessee and Georgia. Actually, they did a lot of smack talking about the Volunteers last year, and old Rocky Top kicked their ass. Because I listened to the Sports Animal out of Knoxville. It has the best sports show because it's a great they focus on friggin' college football, unlike where I am, where they insist on the crap NFL stuff. But they a great radio show, but it was so funny. Kentucky went up, and in spite of their offensive woes, they went up there kind of running their mouth a little bit. The fans were, and then it's 44-6 later. Kentucky goes back to Lexington with all black and blued. So, so can they win those games against the top competition? And they were 0-4 in games decided by 10 points or less. Can they win the close games this year? They lost to Vanderbilt last year. You can't lose to Vanderbilt. You just can't. Even though Vanderbilt's getting better, and that's good for the conference and good for Vanderbilt to not be as bad as they've been. But Kentucky lost by field goal at Ole Miss. They lost by 10 at home to South Carolina. They lost by 3 hosting Vanderbilt and losing to Vanderbilt at home too. And they lost a game against Georgia 16-6, playing the defending and then repeating national champions to a 10-point game at home. A little more offense, might have had something, but hey. All right, so that takes us through Kentucky, which now brings it. Let's get it down there. I got to support my team. I got to love my team, but I really are really negative about this team. But hey, it's done. Go Gators. All right, guys, it's the Florida Gators. They play at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, which is also called Florida Field, or I guess it's been renamed as Steve Spurrier Field also. In honor of the great head ball coach, Florida finished 5th in the East last season, 6-7 overall, 3-5 in the SEC, and a horrible, we don't give a shit game in the Las Vegas Bowl against my Beavers. I love Beavers. Let's go Beavers, who now are probably about a team without a home. So, thank you, sir. There you go. At least there was a game that I liked both teams, but I mean, the Beavers are now a team. That's another show for another. We've talked a little bit, but I've got plans to bring out a bigger show about the realignment issues that are coming and that we're seeing and we're having to deal with. The Gators head coach is Billy Napier, 6-7 in his first year at Florida. Last year, overall, he's amassed a 46-19 record in 5 years of coaching. The last league title for the Gators was 2008 in old Tim Tebow. Boy, those were the years. And the last time they had no bowl game was in 2017. So, yes, I do too. Yes, we all do. So, but hey, this my team. I'm really down on. I'm going to say a little bit about them, but see, they only return 8 starters, and it's bad when a punter is looked at as when you're returning starters. You got 4 on offense, 3 on defense, and you look 10 projected by class. You only have 10. You have 10 sophomores starting. And a relatively new kicker. That does not spell confidence. That spells a lot of weakness to me, especially coming off the season that they had the year before. They've got to get consistency at quarterback. Anthony Richardson, for all his talent and all the stuff, was so friggin' inconsistent. I mean, that's a guy I don't understand how he got drafted at 4th overall just based. I don't know. I wish everybody luck and stuff, but when he threw Hail Marys that went 20 yards out of bounds, or he threw one that hit the upright. So, it just, I don't know. It just, I don't get it. Because in one game he could throw for 400 yards against Tennessee, and then barely got $150 against Missouri at home. So you got those. That's the thing that hurt Florida last year was consistency at quarterback. But then again, this year, what about the Gators' consistency at quarterback? Well, let's try to take a look at that, my friends, because I tell you what, another reason why I'm negative, and I'm going to talk. And listen, these are kids and stuff like that, and I wish them the best luck, and you want them to do. But personally, I've never trusted a quarterback that played at Wisconsin. They stink at Wisconsin, and when they transfer somewhere else, they're not any good there either. Just what I've seen based on experience. And Florida is actually going to have to turn over the reins to Graham Mertz, who's now the projected starter. He's a transfer from Wisconsin. And you just as a Gator fan, I cringe to see what depth they have. Graham Mertz, he's a junior out of Overland Park, Kansas, played at Wisconsin, and did not do much there. And I don't trust Wisconsin quarterbacks, if I could say that again. Jack Miller was a transfer from The Ohio State University, but had one game last year that really, in the bowl game, well, you see 3 points, did not play well. He was hurt, came on, and had to play because Anthony Richardson went pro and so didn't play the bowl game. So, and honestly, when you look at the Gators quarterback roster, it's like, hey, Stunning, you want to go play quarterback at University of Florida with me? Come on, we'll go play quarterback. So, anyway, yes, you are right about that. Wisconsin produces damn good running backs, not quarterbacks. So, hey, Whoopa! Whoop, whoop. Good to see you tonight, sir. Glad to have you with us, as always. So, oh, man. And Whoopa, I did pick on Kentucky, though. Actually, if you were not here, I'll go back. Right there, Whoopa. The Music City Bowl lost to Iowa 21-0. So, hey. So, that's how great we are in the SEC. So, good to see everybody here tonight with us. So just chilling. Hey, good. All right. We love it when people have days off. So basically here with the Gators, they're going to be a young team. Consistency at quarterback is going to be a thing. Second year, Billy Napier. I don't like him. I don't think he's from what I saw in the first year, I don't think he's an SEC caliber coach. I hope I'm wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. I'll tell you more about what I figured this team would do before I finally had to be at least somewhat fair to the team because I was so negative. Because of a couple of things, both off and on the field. This off the field stuff with kicking players out with this quote theme, this atmosphere, or this culture, or whatever. Sometimes that crap's overrated. Sometimes it's just talking bullshit. Sometimes the coach, I understand getting respect in locker rooms and things like that, but I think sometimes you got to friggin' play with who you got and deal with some attitudes and deal with some tempers so you don't suck so bad. But last year they had players kicked off the team. The roster's been a mess. It's been crazy. And it has not gotten better in the offseason. They had a supposedly good recruiting class, but incoming this year was supposed to be a quarterback that was projected to be the starter, one of the top quarterbacks in the whole country, but they lost him because of this damn NIL crap. They did not put, the deal fell through that he could have been paid there, fell through. There was finger pointing which way of who screwed it up, and now they're stuck with their Wisconsin quarterback. So we shall see. But not just that. It's the on the field coaching. I mean, wasting timeouts, not using timeouts. Clock management was pathetic last year with this team. Many instances where they left time on the clock when they had chances to score, or other times they didn't even try to score when there's about 2 minutes left. So, you know, just it was very frustrating watching this team last year. And that's why I based a lot of my opinion on is what I saw on the field. I hope things are different this year. I hope he's matured. I hope things are, those game day decisions, those on the clock, on the field things, get better from his standpoint. I will say though, he did a great job in his first game against Utah at home, and the way that won, when the missus had me AC in a tent camping, and I got to watch it stuff. So, yeah, I know. I understand that, especially when you look back at like Urban Meyer days and stuff like that, and other places. But a lot of the stories that came down there were not that. It was like attitude in the locker rooms. I mean, the players that had no problems off the field and stuff like that. Usually that type of stuff gets out, but this was just. They had too many people that were leaving the team and in the off season again, and But then again, other people that are more familiar with the program, said that there were elements that need to be cleaned out. But I think you wait till after the season to clean it out. Keep what you got, finish the year the best you can. So. But at least that's mine. So really, with the Gators, consistency at quarterback, better in-game coaching and clock management, and that the roster is stabilized. So, because as you see, this is a team that has just steadily gone downhill. Dropped 10 points per game, from 2020 to 2021, and then about the same. Their 2022 numbers are very stunning to me. I mean, they were so close to 2021. I could not believe they were that close. So, and last year, plus 10 on the turnover margin. If you're plus 10 on the turnover margin, you should be better than that. So it is, I will say, quite an interesting stat there. Yeah, plus 10 on the. How do you end up plus 10 on the turnover margin and be 6 and 7? Usually that's usually a conference or division champion right there, where those kind of turnover differentials, unless you take it from a lot of cheap teams. WUPO, are we talking about Colorado? Nope, not this time. LOL. All right, so I do need to pick up the pace a little bit. So we got the Missouri Tigers, coached by Eli Drinkwitz. He's been there 3 years, 17 and 19 overall. They play at Memorial Stadium, Columbia, Missouri. Overall, he's 29 and 20 in 4 years in coaching. Missouri finished 6th in the SEC East last year, 6 and 7 overall, with a 3 and 5 conference records. So, 2022 bowl game, they lost to the Gasparilla Bowl in the Big O's. I think that's in Tampa, maybe, to Wake Forest, 27-17. Their last league title was also in 1969 when they were Big 8 co-champions. Last time no bowl was in 2020. So, yes, yeah, and Dion prime time. Again, another upper class dominated roster. 21 of the 24 starters are seniors or juniors, including both on special teams. They returned 14 starters. You would look like that they're headed towards a good year. And they really had a good year last year when you think of there were no bowl expectations last year. This is a team that managed to squeak out a bowl appearance when there were questions about the coach's job security. And so, there was a lot of positive for Missouri that happened last year. It's not pretty. It was not necessarily the best looking stuff, but it was, they found ways to win. So, yeah. And like Wupa said, headed toward a good year in theory, but Drinkwitz is a terrible coach. Yes. Okay. Good at competing apparently, but doesn't matter when you can't coach for shit. Yes. Exact. Well, that's what I was saying about mine with the Gators. So, but see, can they build on this last season where the bowl appearance was not expected? Here's one of the kickers with them is they lost to Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky all by less than 10 points. You know, and if you're going to win, advance in the SEC East, you've got to beat those three ahead of you. So, close games. And actually, if you look at their record last year, they were 6-7. So if they were 6-6, 4 wins, they could have been 10-3 or 10-2 in regular season had they won those games where they lost by less than 10 points. They lost to, let's see, they lost to Auburn by 3, Georgia by 4, and they had the national 10-point lead on the national champion team with about 10 or 13 minutes left in the game. They lost at Florida by 7, and they lost at home to Kentucky by 4. So those close games that they won, those could be a different kind of season that they could have had, a lot different outlook. And also the tragic loss at Auburn, where the running back was about to score the touchdown to win in overtime, but the ball got knocked out and fumbled through the end zone into the end zone, and Auburn recovered and won the game. So, it's okay. Hey, I've seen plenty of coaches that can recruit but can't coach a damn lick. So basically, also, like I said, coaching stability questions. See, and WUPA comes in here from the Big 12 country out there, which Missouri was historically a Big 12 team before joining the SEC in 2002. So yeah, he's our correspondent on the ground out there. Hey, WUPA, thank you. All right, we're going to get through these because we got a lot more to get through. So then, as we can see, Missouri regressed offensively. Better defense, though, in 2022, which kept them in some games. Turnaround went negative, though, on the turnover margin. Still middle of the pack on offensive and defensive rankings. So, actually gave up 100 yards less a game, but also gained about 50 yards less a game in the year. So, okay. Now we get to probably the big, let's see what WUPA said. Better defense, okay, but look at the 2020 numbers. You really can't get worse. That's true. That's true because, look at 2020. They were a little bit better, but then they got really worse. You're right. 105th overall. Yeah. And defense, yeah. You're right, WUPA. Good point. I'm trying to be positive, but you're right. Good observation. We got my friend, which brings on last year's real surprise team that was sad that even though they beat my Gators, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Mrs. loves the Commodores. Vanderbilt Commodores play at Vanderbilt Stadium, which is being remodeled, so they don't have end zone bleachers now. Nashville, Tennessee. Clark Lee's the head coach. In 2 years, has amassed a 7-17 record. You say that sucks, but you know what? You should have seen the years before he was there. It ended up 5-7 overall, including late wins over Kentucky and Florida, which came out of nowhere, which ended up, I think, about a 3-year streak of consecutive losses in conference games. So no bowl game last year because they just barely missed out a bowl for the bowls. Last league title was in 1923 when they made the Southern, when they were members of the Southern Conference. Let's see. And looking at their schedule last year, in terms of losses, there really was they lost at Missouri by 3. Had they won that game, they could have made a bowl game. That's probably the one game if you're a Vandy fan, you kick yourself in the butt for. Oh, wow. You get to cover the Vandy Hawaii game this week. All right. And thanks, WUPA, for that, because you know what? Yes, SEC football actually starts this weekend with Vanderbilt playing Hawaii. Hawaii is visiting in Nashville. So, and hey, that's a big bowling prediction this year, sir. Good to see you. Good to see that. I love that hype, but we'll see what happens. So Vanderbilt was a team with a much improved season, but they're still offensively very inconsistent, especially against the better teams. They scored only 3 points against Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. Alabama, they got beat 55-3. Georgia, they got beat 55-0, and they lost to Tennessee 56-0. So it's, and then of course they lost. It was beating the middle of pack teams, but then again, they beat Florida last year. They beat Kentucky. How will they perform against the non-conference teams? We'll look at that in a moment. We'll dictate, where they'll get to that possibility of a bowl game. And one transfer quarterback, Mike Wright, transferred out of Vanderbilt this year. But Vanderbilt in recent years has had a problem with not being able to have one solid starter quarterback that could consistently perform from game to game. This year it's going back to the freshman. He was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore now. A.J. Swan is projected as a quarterback right now. But Ken Seals, who had been a starter previously a couple years ago, is the backup. But you're going to have two more traditional type passer quarterbacks versus a run option quarterback that could throw last year. So can they get the consistency on the offensive side? How would that work? They returned 16 starters. And this is one thing towards Rupa's point about whether they can make a bowl this year. Look, 20 upperclassmen, 14 seniors, 6 juniors. You got to return it. You got quarterbacks with experience. So it could happen for Vanderbilt. Will it? Remains to be seen. So let's look at Vanderbilt's stats. A much bigger improvement, almost 25 points a game last year on offense. Still about 40 more yards per game. Defensive numbers are still bad. And at least historically before, Vanderbilt would at least have some defense or be able to play a little bit of defense, but they have not in years. 122nd in the nation last year, 0 turnover margin. So really not a great, not much to cheer home for. And it's going to be hard to get to 500 with that much of a disparity between your offensive and defensive production. So, and we got 8 great people with us tonight. Hey, thank you. Thank you for coming in. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we're going to keep going. And we have now completed the East, a little bit of the preview of the East. So we're going to look at the West now, followed again, starting with the media's projected first place finisher, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Play at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Coached by Nick Saban. Hey, Castle, if you're still lurking there, yeah, it's your coach guy. He's 189-27 in 16 years at the school. Overall, in his coaching career, 285 wins, 69 losses, and yes, that last digit is a tie. You used to have ties in college football. And over a 27-year career, he's coached in college at Michigan State, head coach at Michigan State and LSU. Got a cup of coffee in the NFL at the Miami Dolphins. Hey, hungry. Get ready to pass out. So happy we'll listen. Here, a group hello to all. 2 hours sleep in 40 hours. Hey, pass out. Go to sleep to the sound of my sultry voice. Or maybe I can bribe the missus to come in here. So, oh gosh, but hey, good, my friend. Good to see you. So, hope you rest well. Alabama got replaced last year. They finished second in the West at 11-2 overall, 6-2 in the conference, but they beat the Big 12 team, Kansas State, in the Sugar Bowl 45-20. The last league title was in 2021 when they won the SEC title, but Georgia won the national championship game. So it's crazy stuff how that works. Last time no bowl was 2003. Alabama returns 11 starters, 4 on offense, 5 on defense, including their special teams, kickers, punters. They have a lot of seniors on the roster, 10, 6 juniors. But one of the key non-returning starters is they have to replace the quarterback. And Jalen Milroe is the projected starter, although Alabama has not named their starting quarterback for the first game, but Milroe last year did not pass well. He ran the ball and helped win a game with his feet, but passing was a different story. So that's where I look at it for Alabama is, can you replace with a quarterback factory continued? Can you replace the quarterback? But what I saw last year was a quarterback that could not throw the ball consistently or accurately. So, but like Georgia, it's a matter of reload and return, get back to where you were. Yep. Whoopa, I think the problem is that they've got freshmen, and the incumbent returner from last year cannot throw the football very well, at least from what we saw last year. So, Nick Saban. Don't let OC Dobbins see you say that. Oh my goodness. We actually have at least one Alabama and a couple Auburn fans coming on this year's guest. So that's really with Alabama. There's not much to say. Can they replace the quarterback, and how, they're kind of like Georgia. They're top of the class. Will they make it back up top, and can they fill in the plugs where they need replacements? So, all right. So then we'll look at their stats here. Again, a drop off of 2021 on the offensive side, but, still 20 points a game on defense. But last year, the defense, a little more stingy, but, a little bit more points point-wise. But then again, you don't have the returning quarterback coming that helped put up a lot of those numbers. And even then, there were talk about how productive he could be. Were the Alabama receivers becoming very average? They didn't. Like Julio Jones and Judy and a number of the other big-time wide receivers that have been putting up big numbers in previous years, and now the guys that are remaining, were they really that level caliber than what it played before? Yeah, Jalen Milroe is the quarterback. If he's pronounced the starter, that's the other thing is Alabama's roster is full of freshmen and sophomore quarterbacks, so with very little experience. So, and it was let's see, Bryce Young, a top draft pick in the NFL, it's got to be replaced, and who's the next man on the roster? There's not. We'll see what happens. It's not like we'll look at the opening lineups and see where they go from there, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But there's Alabama, LSU that came from nowhere last year to end up winning the SEC West, projected down by the media to finish second. Coached by Brian Kelly, 10-4 1 year at LSU. Overall, he's 294, 101, and 2 ties in 32 years of coaching. The LSU plays at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A place that we got to see on our trip around the country this year. Beautiful stadium on the outside. I wish we could have seen inside, but they've got a great little plaza area with tributes to the old Heisman winners and other SEC championship teams, and just a really neat place to see. Not a great campus, definitely not as pretty as Georgia and Athens, but hey, yeah. JT Kirk says that the key to Alabama's success is how easy the schedule will actually be and how much ESPN pumps it up. Exactly. Yeah, name recognition. Never underestimate name recognition and media pushing a team or an agenda. It does happen, which is sad that it happens like that. And Whoopa's ready for LSU dominance. All right. There you go. Hold it, Tiger. Actually, we're scheduled to have a really freaking awesome guest for that Florida LSU week. We got great guests this year. I'm telling you, last year's great guests were great too, but we got some. Okay, let me keep moving, get through these. So, LSU won the West, defeated Purdue 63-7 in the Citrus Bowl, which is you joke about the Citrus Bowl used to be. Spurrier trash talking Tennessee as you could not spell citrus without UT. But I'm going to comment on that a little bit later, Whoop. All right, the Whoop has spoken. All right, so last league title 2019, before last time no bowling 2020. They returned the 13 starters, but key, they returned their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, folks. That guy was talented. He was very, very good. Did I say 9 of y'all are with me? Wow. Thank y'all. This is awesome. Make sure you hit that like button. And, hey, help Whoop out. Help JT Kirk, all y'all. If y'all got questions, and if you got questions about college sports or something, throw it out there. If you're just lurking, something doesn't make sense, ask, and we'll see what we can do to address it. 18 of 24 are upperclassmen, so they come back with a lot of experience. But definitely settled at quarterback position. So, of course, about 10 points a game this year on offense. They gave up about 4 more points, less points last year. They were positive on the turnover margin. So you can see the progression from 2020 when they're really lousy defensively, Orgeron's last year, and then improvements under I'm sorry, Orgeron's 2021, but for Kelly's first year is 2022. But you can see how LSU was just middling around with some very bad numbers there for a bit. So, and hey, Jess, good to see you. Good to see my friend. Hey, and like she's follow me on Twitter at DadmanWalking55. So, Whoopa, I like making big predictions. They come true. I look awesome. If not, no one probably remembers some. So that's kind of the way I look at it here. I'll make it, and then it either happens or not. But I'm going to I struggle with a few things here. So that's the number. That's the numbers behind LSU. Third, the media still loves Texas A&M. This another. I believe this is still a team that's based on reputation and their coach, and not what they really are. Oh God. Oh, Hungry wants Alabama to tackle current pop culture rugby style. And hello, Jess. And Whoopa said Brian Kelly really turned the team around. I think he'll make something special happen. Yeah, Whoopa, I agree. I agree to a point. The question's going to be is if it turns south at some point. He is from the north. He is not really your kind of Southern Cajun guy. It just if the things get off the tracks, if there's adversity, how does he survive the culture? I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, you look at a school like Auburn that you thought Gus Malzahn would have stayed, or Gene Chizik, and then they're gone quickly. So you never know in the South. Finicky people, it can turn. So these are the core cadets, which I do not understand why they got supposed military things with their dress. Whoopa, I probably should have had you tell me about that, but maybe when you come on this year, we can talk about that. So, Kyle Field, College Station, home of the 12th man, where the one non-scholarship guy gets to play on the special teams, or at least they used to do it. They probably don't now. College Station, Texas, coached by Jimbo Fisher, former Florida State coach, 39-21 in 5 years. Overall, he's 122-44 in 13 years of coaching. A&M had a really disappointing season last year, finishing last in the West, 2-6 in the conference, 5-7 overall. No bowl game, obviously. Their last league title is 1998 in the Big 12. Last bowl game was 2020 with the Orange Bowl. They returned 14 starters, primarily on defense, and this is a team that has a good defensive reputation. Offense has been slow over the years, but they do have a new offensive coordinator, a name college football fans will remember, Bobby Petrino, who used to be a head coach at Arkansas, Louisville, and got kind of some things with his motorcycle with people and stuff. And, but he's back in the South, and see if he can restore A&M's offense to some. Versions of now YouTubers popping there. That's cool. We got you, Hungry. So they returned to 14 starters. Really a young team, and I think we're going to find that the experience of this team may play a hand in this. One of the biggest things with Texas A&M is a few different things. Can the offense improve? Well, now you got Bobby Petrino, but can they improve enough to win a division title? Which gets back to the question I asked in our review show: is how much longer does Jimbo have at Texas A&M? When the buyouts that they paid to get rid of Kevin Sumlin to bring this guy in, and then the amount to pay him, I mean, are you really paying the contract amounts for a guy to finish even middle of the pack? No, that kind of money you expect to win and win soon. So how long will they wait for him? But also it's become more difficult. You got new and up and coming coaches and successful coaches at LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and even Auburn. Hugh Freeze has returned to Auburn, back to the SEC, who had a good track record on Ole Miss. So, Jimbo's like in the middle of the pack over there. How long does he have? Plus, also, can they another school like Florida about settling the locker room and roster control? How many transfers in and out? How many players get kicked off the team? They had fights and all kinds of stuff there last year. So that's a big issue with A&M. And we look at their stats because you could see down to 22 points a game. Still, the defense kept them in and only giving up 20, but they were one of the worst running defense in college football, giving up nearly 209 yards a game. They lost to Florida at home, and Florida just ran the ball right through their throats. So a team that had trouble running consistently. So if A&M's going to move, it's going to be because the offense, they historically could see, have had a really top defense in the top 30 nationally scoring-wise. And, last year had the top ranked passing defense in the league, in the country. So you've got it's just another one of those what ifs. We can look historically back at what has happened, but it's like the stock market. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. So we shall see. A&M's got so many of those issues to see what happens. And now it's Lane Kiffin. Yeah, I call him Kitten because people here used to do that, but it's Lane Kiffin. Is the head coach at Ole Miss. He's 23-13 in 3 years at the school. Overall, he's 84-47 in 11 years of coaching. They play at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Last year, they finished tied for third in the West, 8-5 overall, 4-4 in the SEC. They lost in the Texas Bowl to Texas Tech, 42-25. Ole Miss's last league title was in 1963. Last time they did not make a bowl game was in 2019. So, we have a very heavy dominated team of the upper class. What I think when we are done looking at all these teams, if we pile them side by side, the teams in the West have a lot of juniors and seniors in them. That's seemingly more than the Eastern Division teams. So it's sorry, I must have hit the good thing I didn't hit the wrong button, the really, really wrong button. But they have you've got 13 returning starters, including the punter, 20 of the 24 on offense. Are upperclassmen, seniors, and juniors. Jackson Dart returns as a starting quarterback, so they're solid. It's quarterback who's a junior, so they're they have some talent. This is a team that is poised to do something, but again, coaching decisions and game day. Can you beat the teams you need to beat? And not just that. I'm going to touch that in just a second. Kenshawn Judkins, moves into his sophomore year, broke the Ole Miss record books as a freshman. The guy was a monster on the field for putting up some really, really big games. But for Ole Miss, it comes down to a number of things, really. And I think in my review show, the same thing with some of these teams are so similar. A&M, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State. They have the same type of problems. Can they beat the West top teams? Can they beat LSU, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State? The whole problem is Ole Miss was 0-4 against all those teams last year. So how do you, if you can't beat the middle or the top, you can't move up. And other thing is too, this is a job that can be kind of, and with the team in the roster, because Lane Kitten's name keeps getting talked about for other jobs, either coaching or NFL. So what will that do with recruiting and looking down the road. So that's Ole Miss. We've got them projected fourth by the media. We've got, like I said, a team. Lane Kitten's known for his offenses production, but you see the offensive production down a little bit. And actually, they became more. If you see in 2020, and they really were heavy passing, same in 2021. But last year it flipped because of Quinshon Judkins. They became a more heavy running team, 256 yards per game running the ball. Jackson Dart is a dual threat type quarterback, so he can run. So, offensively, the key is going to be on that. Can they move the ball? Can they score when they play against the tougher defenses in the West? Defensively, they're middle of the pack overall. So you just use the past numbers as not as a just kind of a barometer to see they have the improvement, because remember in 2020 both offensively and defensively they were giving up over 500 yards and they were gaining over 500 yards a game, but it's sliding down a little bit from that point. All right, so then next we've got the Arkansas Razorbacks, the Pigs. Pigs. Okay, sorry. I'm rolling myself with that one, folks. But hey, they play at Reynolds Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which we passed but did not look at the daggum stadium. There were so many stadiums that we drove kind of past on the west side that we should have. But it was either that or Battlefield, so kind of choice. So Sam Pittman is the head coach overall. In 3 years he's amassed a 1917 record. Finished fifth in the West last year. 7-6 overall, 3-5 in the SEC. Beat Kansas in a stellar, epic game in the Liberty Bowl, 55-53. Yes, misses. That would have been a damn good game to go to, because not just game, we could have been at Uncle Lou's. Sorry, I'm obsessed with that now. The last league title for the Pigs back in 1989 in the Southwest Conference. Last time they did not make a bowl was 2020. So, oh man. Oh, Whoopa got to see the horseshoe on a vacation to Canton. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Yeah, not expecting much out of Arkansas this year. I like the way you spelled that. That's cool. They do return KJ Jefferson as starting quarterback, which is a big plus for them. They, again, another upper class dominated team with 17 juniors and seniors. So we got them at the fourth, in the middle of the pack. Again, another team. Offensively, more production. Now, their defense regressed last year, scoring-wise and yardage-wise, giving up about 8 more points a game and almost 100 yards per game. And meanwhile, they went from a +6 turnover margin to break even. So we can see why they struggled in 2020. And hey, we got 10 people. We hit the double digits. Woohoo! Thank you, folks, for being here. This means a lot. Thank you for this, and appreciate y'all being here. And if y'all have football questions, type it in. Or if you got comments, things that you've seen. If you're new here, if you're lurking, you don't like football, or you don't know what, ask a question. I'll try to answer it the best we can. If not, we got people in the chat that can help answer questions. So with that, we move on to the Auburn Tigers. Auburn. Now, it says it's spelled Jordan Hare, but for some reason they say Jordan Hare Stadium. I guess that's somebody named Jordan instead of Jordan. In Auburn, Alabama, folks. We even saw a daggum Whataburger that had an Auburn logo on the side of the building. Hugh Freeze, as I mentioned, is returning to the SEC from Liberty University. He's in his first year at the school. Overall, he's got a record of 83-43 in a 10-year college coaching career involving Ole Miss and Liberty. 2022, Auburn finished tied for 6th in the West, 5-7 overall, 2-6 in the SEC. 2020, obviously the bowl game. The last league title they had was 2013, which is probably the national championship year. I think probably Cam Newton year, I think. But last bowl game was 2021 in the Birmingham Bowl. They're also dominated on upperclassmen, 12 seniors, 9 juniors. Question really what they have here at, by the way, with Arkansas, one thing that I missed, can they get back to 2021 status? And also, they were like Ole Miss. They were 0-4 against their 4 big Western opponents: Texas A&M, Alabama, Mississippi State, and LSU. And they also lost to Missouri. So that's a problem with Kansas. So Auburn, though, like I said, keys are that Hugh Freeze returns the head coach to the SEC. He was 39-25 at Ole Miss. Depending, and the boosters have played a lot of role to get previous coaches fired in recent years. So if he struggles, how do the boosters react? They've replaced their head coach twice in 3 years. So I think this guy will get more patience from the boosters because of his name and name recognition. And the big key is, can they solidify the quarterback position? Another team that's brought in transfers from outside, but the returning quarterback was up and down as a freshman last year, and just very, very inconsistent. Can they like so many teams, we're all in question marks right now because we haven't played the game. We see what we have some information. We have some beliefs, but Robbie Ashford is a quarterback that's returning from last year as a starter. So what it goes with, how long did they go with him if he struggles? Can they get the production, protect the football? So hey, there's Auburn for you. We look at this. We got oh gosh. If Auburn bombs this year, I predict Mr. Freeze will be asked to chill out. Nice. Nice. All right, so Auburn is still, like you see, they gave up more points than they averaged, than they scored in the game. So that's never a good sign. They were minus 10 on the turnover margin. So definitely a big step back. It's hard to win football games given the ball that often. So really, it comes down to this team. What can Freeze do in his first year? Can they get a quarterback to call signals? Oh, no. What ended the Auburn Tigers? The Ice Age. All right. We got one more team. Picked to finish last in the West is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They play at Davis Wade Stadium, Starkville, Mississippi. If you want cowbell, you go to damn Starkville, Mississippi, folks. These people take their damn cowbells out of town with them. And you know what? The stadiums let them normally say no noisemakers. They do let them bring their damn cowbells, which I sound grumpy about, but I think it's kind of cool. Let them bring their traditions and bang the bells. But yeah, you need cowbell. It's there for you in Starkville, Mississippi. Thing of note, look at the head coach. Zach Arnett, 1-0. He was made permanent head coach after the bowl game where he coached and they won, where they beat Illinois 19-10 in the ReliaQuest Bowl. They finished 9-4 overall, 4-4 in the SEC, finishing third. Why Zach Arnett was the coach in the bowl game was because Mike Leach, the old pirate himself, passed away, got sick, passed away before the bowl game. So, so now that Arnett coached the bowl game and moved on, got the job. So there's talk that the whole air raid offense is going to change. It will not be like it was under Mike Leach, where it was like some seasons it would be like, we'll look at it in a second. We'll see it in a second. So, my Hungry says, if I want cowbell, I'm going to ask for Chris Walken. There you go. But hey, if you need it, they got it. Mississippi State returns 11 starters, 7 on offense, including starter quarterback Will Rogers. And I keep thinking of the philosopher writing guy all the time. So when I hear Will Rogers' name, but they've got 21 seniors. My God, that's a lot of seniors. So you don't see that anymore. 2 juniors and then 1 freshman that's a punter. So that's a roster. I mean, the projected returning starters. So and the by class, as you can see, -7, -2, +4 in turnover margin last year. And actually, yeah, they the numbers were down, but if you look, 2020, 44 yards a game running, 63 yards in 2021, 82 yards. Wow, they started running the football a little bit more, less passing. But, it's still the air raid offense. It's going to be changing this year. That's one of the things you don't know. What's going to happen with this? How does the program respond after Mike Leach's death? What will happen to the offensive style, after his passing? Because the air raid offense was his baby. What will happen with the new coordinators, the new coach with that? And the big question is, can they beat LSU and Alabama? I mean, you see it's a team that finished 3rd because everybody else beat up on themselves. But unless you're going to beat Alabama or LSU, the big dogs at the top, you cannot, you're limited. You're stuck in a spot. There's only a certain ceiling that you can get to. So, oh my goodness. Hey, folks. Well, let me take a real quick drink real quick. Thank y'all for being here. There's still 8 of y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Whoa, it's 9:30 already. And folks, I am going through this fairly quickly. So I hope you're enjoying this. I know there's a lot of dry accounting stuff, but this is really the geek. This is what I talk about when I say sports can be geeky and stuff. When you get into or nerdy, whichever the term applies, when you start getting into all this type of stuff, you can just be like any type of comic or whatever you got for there. So, folks, we are going to now come to Dadman's projections. I am going to do something real quick. I'm going to take the slide back to, I'm going to bring it down, and I want to show you where the media is. Let's see. I'm going to show you the media poll one more time. Didn't mean to take it on there. So, but hey, I hope y'all having a good evening tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for the practice for this, and I hope you're enjoying this. So, but yeah, the SEC, we've got Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Vanderbilt in the East. In the West, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State. That is the media projections. So now we are going to take a look at it, and I'm going to call them Dadman's guesses. I've tried to look at things. One problem with trying to pick games this far out, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't have injury situations. You don't have locker room situations. There's so many intangibles that could happen. We pick a game now, but then something could change, and you would pick it differently down the road 5-6 weeks later. Well, folks, hey, we're going to try to do this. And the way it's structured here is the missus has the media poll to the left, and then I'm going to review each team and where they placed. So, all right, we'll go here. I have last 7th, Missouri. Yes, with Missouri. I only win at home with South Carolina is all that I see at this point. Again, it's so many variables. The Vanderbilt game, even though it's a road game, could be one. But ending the season with 4 straight losses. So, and like I said, these are guesses. They will not be. They're not any guarantee. Do not use them for betting or anything else, because it's way too early to do to really get a feel of some of these teams. Some may have returning players, but they still may not gel when the season starts. So, we all see. I mean, this is a team that had a good year, had good things happen to them last year, but just had a few bad breaks. But I see Missouri as the bottom seller this year. In the East. Next would be Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt moves up out of the cellar this year with 2 conference wins. Missouri and Auburn is what I'm saying here. Watch the game hosting Kentucky, but Kentucky does have better quarterback play than last year, so that may be a different game. You never know what Florida's going to be, but I think outside of that, that's probably about where Vanderbilt could expect to go. So if they get to the two conference games, if they can beat Wake Forest this year, they would get to 6-6, and that should make them eligible for a bowl. So whoop up, let's go Vanderbilt, except for playing Florida. I got pissed with that last year. So, all right. Really not a lot to say about a lot of these games because a lot of them can go either way. Whoop up, woo, Vandy. Exactly. So, all right. 5th, Kentucky. I got Kentucky finishing 5th. I've come out in a 5-0 record, beating Vanderbilt and actually beating Florida at home, but then losing to Georgia and then losing. Look at the murderer's row: Tennessee, Mississippi State, Alabama, South Carolina on the road. 2 of those on the road at Starkville and the Cowbell, and on the road at South Carolina. So, so that would be, that'd be 3 conference wins. So they get them in 5th. The key games I look at Vanderbilt and at Florida, because I call them key games because if they can, they're key in the sense of winning them make for a good year and a potential chance of a bowl game. Like in this case, the 6-6 would make them bowl eligible. So let's see, 5. No, it'd be 7-5. It'd be 7-5. So they would be bowl eligible. The key game at Georgia, just to see if you're going to beat the big dog. The home game against Tennessee, that could be a key game, depending on how Tennessee's running, how Kentucky's running. Say if Kentucky like in this set could at this point would be 6-1 playing Tennessee. Have a whole game there. You win it. Hey, really nice year. Really nice year. All right, well, move us to then the Florida Gators. Dun, dun, dun. Go Gators. Well, folks, I will tell you, I'm not a bias. I'm not a homer. I had to put my homer glasses on to get to this. When I initially, as pissed as I am and what I think with the coaching and a lot of other stuff, I had this team as 3 wins, which I still think this team could have a very, very bad year with a Wisconsin quarterback and not much out there, very average receivers and other players. They don't have the talent that they used to have. But I let myself talk to them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I somehow taught myself, 6. Wow, 6-6. I only have them at 6-6. But see, the reason why they're 4th in the SEC East would be 2 of those are non-conference games at Utah and hosting Florida State. So, but key games with Tennessee is always a rivalry, that first SEC game every year. At Kentucky, if this team can somehow win early and beat Tennessee, that could be a key game for their fate in the SEC East in that game at Kentucky. Same thing at South Carolina. The home game at Arkansas is key because, it's a good team that's coming into the swamp and, well, they win it. And at Missouri, can they beat a friggin' Missouri team at one time? Florida has already struggled at Vanderbilt and at Missouri. No matter how better, even when they had much better teams, it just was a weird thing. And like Hungry Boy says, the Gators rule over Crocs. Yes, sir. So that's where I see the Florida Gators. Originally, I had them at 3-8 or 3-9. I just was that negative. But this is only 3 more wins. Georgia, there's no way this team's going to beat Georgia. So, oh my goodness. Hello, Squeaka. Gators only good for beating and eating. All right. Well, fried Gators pretty good though. It's good. Good to see you tonight, my friend. So, yeah. All righty. So I was grumpy Dadman earlier with the Gators, 3-8. I'm trying to, there you go. It's like, all right. So, hey, we got 9 people in here. That's awesome. So, the Tennessee-Florida game, was a hard call for me. I put the homer on with the Tennessee game. I'll be admitted. I listened to Sports Animal, Tennessee's flagship station up out of Knoxville. Some of the people up there getting really a little bit cocky top. It really is cocky top up there with that game in Gainesville. And I tell you, so many times in that rivalry, Tennessee's not won since 1990, 2002, I believe, when Casey Clausen, it was 2000, when's it? 2001. 2001 was the last time that they won in Gainesville, because it was the game got pushed to the end of the year because of 9/11 and stuff like that. So, but yeah, and they got Casey Clausen directed the band. But this game, I mean, they're starting to disrespect Florida to a point that it could happen. There have been dumber things have happened when Florida's beaten Tennessee in the swamp. So go figure. Of course, Florida will lose that game at Utah. I mean, I tell you what, one of my favorite games last year was watching that Florida Utah game in the tent with the AC. It was hilarious. So it was an awesome time. And you know what's funny? I was sitting there and the missus had me all set up for things, and I'm like texting someone like, "Hey, they suck. They're gonna lose." They're like, "Quit your whining. They're gonna win." And like, holy shit, this play turned to happen. That was a hell of a game. But hey, all right, folks. But enough about the Gators. We'll see. Just, I don't know. I'm still down on this coach. I'm still down on the whole team, but I'll go down with them. We'll see what we go. In all kinds of weather, we'll all stick together for Florida. That's it. Before this damn Tom Petty shit, that was what they did between the third and fourth quarters. We are the boys. Hungry boy. I might have to get on a damn Tom Petty rant. He's from Gainesville and all the stuff they attributed to him, but they ruined the third quarter tradition with that Tom Petty stuff instead of my old stuff. But anyway, I digress. I ramble on, and let's move forward to South Carolina. Our great friends in Columbia, I think they're headed towards a decent year. It all depends on Spencer Rattler. Will he come out of the gate hot? Will he be competent, or will he be in the tank like he was up and down at times last year? Will he be the quarterback that played at Florida and where only the punter got the only touchdown pass for the team? Who knows? So, they start off the year at Tom Petty rant. Spencer Rattler bad, yes. Oh, JT Kirk. Because weather does that include blizzards? Alligator? No, they're not. I don't know. They're just the words to the damn song, JT Kirk. They're just the words. So, yeah, I do agree. Better Tom Petty than Lori Petty. Yeah. Oh my God, especially her and Tank Girl. Oh wow, that was crazy. But hey, South Carolina, with key games at Georgia, it should be. Tennessee's a game that could be key for them. If Rattler's playing, that's a game that they could try to steal on the road. The home game at Florida is key. And if they drop a home game to Florida, it could mark for a bad year. The road game at Texas A&M, and the home game at Kentucky. And and another key game is the Clemson game because, well, why? Because it's a rivalry game, bragging rights. Oh, yeah. Oh man, a news article said Rattler has been picking apart the defense in practice. Yeah, well, I said that, and well, of course he is. This is a South Carolina defense. Everyone does that. Yes, except for Tennessee. Tennessee struggled with that last year, my friend. But it's all good. So, but hey, we shall see. Forward, we got two more. Now, drum roll, please, because when I reveal this one, you're going to know who I pick in the East. This was this was hard. About 4 months ago, I was really dead set on one way. But when I had to sit down and really start to think about things, when it got a little more challenging, more difficult because we're left with Georgia and Tennessee. Georgia, we talked about their advantages, the schedule, the reloaded roster. All they have to do is replace Stetson Bennett, but they've got a solid junior quarterback that's been around the program for a few years. And Tennessee, up and coming, wonderful talent. They got the wonderful Squirrel White. Whoopa, Squirrel White may be a starter or a very high contributor this year for Tennessee. There was everything, and Tennessee has Georgia at home. There was so much, and like I said, about 3-4 months ago, I really was dead set that this one team would take it. And this is one I can see go either way. Yeah. Squirrel White and the 7-line person's a Disney store. I love that. That is wonderful, Whoopa. That is so freaking. I mean, A.T. Kirk. Damn it, Mark. It's your fault. Okay, Squirrel White and the 7 linemen. All right. Well, enough dragging it out. Enough for the pregnant pause. This team is the one that 3 months ago I was dead certain was going to win the SEC East. Tennessee, second. Losses at Florida, losses at Alabama. I'm not sold on Alabama because of no quarterback at play, at this point of what we saw last year. Rocky Top going on the road, I think you still had to respect Alabama at home. That was a hard call, the Alabama game. With what I'm hearing, I'm taking, like I said, I'm going to be the homer for the Florida game because I've seen so many times that Florida, when they shouldn't have beaten Tennessee, beats them, including one time up in Rocky Top when they won 10-7 because the guy that kicked field goals for the Gators kicked like a 50-plus yard field goal, made it, but he was like 40% of field goals for the year. It's one of those seasons, and who can forget the 80-yard Hail Mary from Felipe Franks to the receiver in the end zone, all in the air, caught in the end zone. Another game where Will Greer throws a pass on 4th and 15. Guy catches it, makes a spin, it goes all the way for a touchdown. Then Tennessee misses the field goal in the swamp. I got it. That's why I go with Florida over Tennessee, which then but look at it. I have Tennessee winning at Georgia. This team is talented. It is loaded. The big question I have is Joe Milton. Will Joe Milton hold up like Hendon Hooker as consistently over a whole season? I don't think so. I think he's going to have lapses, and I think that's going to catch them. The good thing with Georgia is that they have them at home, but they got 2 games against bitter rivals, Florida and Alabama. Heupel can do it. I'm sold on Heupel. I'm sold on this Tennessee team, but if it was Hendon Hooker, I'd have them probably undefeated. But I just don't see Tennessee going undefeated, which then leaves my friends. Oh, and like I said, in the key games, Virginia, to see how they start. The critical game on the road at Gainesville, can they break the streak in the swamp? You get Texas A&M at home, and then, of course, the rivalry road game at Alabama. The road trip to Kentucky, some up there, even in Tennessee, are considering that a trap game that Kentucky could knock them off with a better quarterback this year than Will Levis. So, and of course, the massive game November 18th, which will probably be the game for the SEC East title. When then it leaves the Georgia Bulldogs to win the SEC East. So, Georgia key games against South Carolina, at Auburn because it's a rivalry game, Kentucky at home, Florida because it's always a neutral site, a tough game. It's anytime with the rival games, anything can happen. And then, of course, the game at Tennessee. Those are kind of the key games that we noticed for them. If you look at the comparison, it's just flipping. It's flipping Florida and Kentucky and flipping Vanderbilt and Missouri. So we will see. Like you said, we go big, go home, and you predict it, and either you're glorious or people don't remember it. Oh my gosh! Hungry says, JT Kirk, remember when mentioning formless monsters yesterday? Mark's clams. Wow. Mark's clams. So, hey. Oh, y'all are just too funny, guys. So, out there in the chat. Great to have y'all. Looking around real quick. Let's see. Yep. So, all right. So now that gets the East. We've got Georgia winning the East. So now we'll get through the Western Division. In the West, Auburn to be again in the bottom. Really, it's hard to. I'm not confident in them going winless in the SEC because it's very hard. Vanderbilt did that before and they were that bad. This Auburn team probably will not be that bad, but it's just a murderer's schedule. They're just so far behind the other teams. They're at Vanderbilt. Otherwise, I probably would take them at home winning that game. Mississippi State, Ole Miss are good teams. There's just not enough yet for Auburn. Quarterback situation is a big concern. So, I mean, the key games are all the Western games here. And, of course, the key game against Vanderbilt is, would that be the one conference game for the win for this season? So, of course, they make a trip to the Pac-12, which is probably going to be the last year for the Pac-12, definitely as we know it. That's another topic for another day. So, we got Auburn, and we got Texas A&M coming in here at 6th. Yes, I don't like Texas A&M. I still don't like them. Questions at quarterback still. Bobby Petrino has talented on offense, and he's a great offensive mind, but will they translate to success this year, or will they revert to what they were last year with the current quarterback crop? A lot of issues with Jimbo Fisher. We'll see what happens this year. Again, even if he finishes second or third, you got the question of how long do you keep a coach when you bought everybody out and paying them a lot of money? You don't pay them to not win titles. So, obviously, we got them at 6 wins, so it'd be bowl eligible. But the key games, Arkansas in Jerry's World, as always, against Alabama. It's always a classic game. Tennessee is a big game for both teams. Ole Miss, and then, of course, the home at LSU to end the season for A&M. But that's what I see with them. Ole Miss, we've got them at 8 wins. So it'd be 8-4. Of course, losses at Alabama, lost to LSU. One on the road, one at home. Beat a team like Ole Miss. You need to beat the good teams before I believe you can do it. A weak non-conference schedule, Mercer and Georgia Tech, Tulane. Tulane's pretty good. Tulane could give them a bit of fight based on last year's results, but then they run a streak of 4 wins over Arkansas, Auburn, Vanderbilt, and A&M, followed by 2. I'm going to call them the Egg Bowl will be in Starkville this year, and I'll take Mississippi State on that. So as you see, we have 3 tied at 3rd, which the other Mississippi team, Mississippi State, started out of the gate with losses to LSU and at South Carolina. I'm calling the upset of because of the talent of this team, because of the senior class. I'm calling an upset in Starkville at this point because Alabama, unless the Alabama quarterback situation really gets resolved with a good quarterback all around that can move the ball and score. I'm basing this off what I saw last year's quarterback that's supposed to be the starter. So this pick, when it comes game week, I will probably change. But just today, based on what I have an upset there for that one. Of course, losing at Arkansas, but winning at Auburn. Key games against Ole Miss at the end of the year to see, for the state of Mississippi. Of course, rivalries with Texas A&M. Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, and LSU as the key games, all in the West, because I consider them key for Mississippi State, because if you're going to finish higher in the West than 3rd or 4th, then you need to beat the big dogs, the LSUs, the Auburns, the Arkansas. So, yep. JT Kirk, Yes, they slip these northern teams in sometimes just to soften the schedule. The SEC has a history of doing that. So, yeah, so exactly. Yeah, they slid a Michigan team in. The MAC comes down here quite a bit. Then we go from there to the Pigs. I've got them third again. Well, tied with the Mississippi State and Arkansas. I actually had higher hopes for Arkansas last year, but they did not come through. Of course, lose key games with LSU and at A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama. Again, another team. And I'm telling you, all 6 are key games to consider. Let's say the whole schedule, but see, all of them are in the West. They could lose to Florida and not be a big deal of how they finish in the West. But the thing is, you've got to beat Ole Miss. You got to beat Alabama. You got to beat LSU and Mississippi State. If you don't beat those teams, you're not going to finish ahead of them. So I project them as tying for third again with good wins over A&M and Mississippi State, but losing to LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama again. I put too much faith in Arkansas last year. Did not pan through. So show me, I'm from misery. So anyway, now JT Kirk says that BYU game could be. Yeah, I agree. It could be, but I don't know how well BYU will travel here to the South, especially third week with the weather, the heat. Except because, see, this is a decent Arkansas team with a good coaching staff. A few years ago, BYU went into Knoxville and beat Rocky Top, but that was a bad team with a bad coaching staff and a bad quarterback that was in Tennessee. So, but it could be. You never know. That's kind of fun with seeing teams like BYU and things like that coming in. It's kind of cool to see teams you don't normally see in a region coming through. So Whoopa saying BYU taking that game. All right, well, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe BYU will be a future Pac-10, Pac-12 team or something one day. We'll see. But hey, we'll see what happens. All right, folks, that leaves us 2. So then this is going to come down to LSU and Alabama. Which way do you see? I've already kind of tipped my hand because I told you I did not like the quarterback play. But, hey, second, I have Alabama finishing in the West. Well, right off the bat, I tell you, I think they're going to lose at home to Texas. The Longhorns have a solid team. They have actually Arch Manning is now on the roster. Cade Evers was the quarterback last year who got hurt in the game in Austin against Alabama. He came out of the gate throwing the ball around the place. They were kicking Alabama's ass up and down the field, and then he got hurt, and then he was in and out. And with the backup, they got hurt too. Bama barely got out of there with winning there. I tell you what, of all places, that Austin crowd looks like a freaking madhouse, a place to watch a game. But there you go. So I do think Alabama's going to lose early on because I think the quarterback problems will be exposed against a very solid, currently Big 12 team, but now next year will be an SEC team. So this is a matchup of things to come, I think. So, yeah. And see, my friend from the Big 12 takes the opposite point. He thinks Bama's going to beat UT. UT is pretty overrated. I understand that, Whoopa. I'm just taking what I saw last year with that Texas-Alabama game. And, I mean, they do return their quarterbacks. And we'll see. I just don't trust the Alabama quarterbacks at this point until we get some tape on them and see some actual real results. So, key games, again, Texas for overall, I think, was the national championship would make it a key game. Road games at Mississippi State, of course, Texas A&M, but that's becoming a very dangerous game for Alabama every year. Of course, Arkansas hosting Tennessee and hosting LSU. Those are key games for Alabama if they want to win the West or even a national chance. All right. Hey, letting the hate flow for Austin. The Austin crowd is a bunch of hooligans, a bunch of clowns. All you have to do is put your pinky and pointer finger, point down, and melt down and cry about the Big 12 officials. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh, Whoopa, that is so funny. You're not jaded much, are you? I mean, about the Big 12 officials. No, I'm just kidding with you, but hey. All right, folks. So we're nearing the end, though. So that means LSU will, I predict, win the West. Key games of Mississippi State, Arkansas hosting Ole Miss, or on the road at Ole Miss, at Alabama. So they it's going to be hard for them, but they returned Jaden Daniels, the quarterback. That's where I really see horns down, baby. All right, is the strength of the quarterback play. And they've got some very tough road games at Mississippi State, at Ole Miss, and at Alabama. So anyway, well, there we go with the SEC West. If you look at it, I'm a little bit off because see, I don't understand why Mississippi State got no love that much to be put in the bottom. Not with the team that they return. I don't agree with that. I think Mississippi State can pull it off. It has a better schedule. Auburn has less talent, so they're kind of close. I just think A&M is a habitually overrated team nationally and by the SEC media. So, I mean, we just flipped the top two. So a little more variety I have on here thing. Chase Daniels. No, I know. Mid-2000s Chase Daniels. Isn't he still a backup quarterback somewhere? Yeah. Yeah. And JT Kirk said Brian Kelly still has to prove himself to be something other than a Notre Dame coach that got national attention on perennially overhyped, underperforming opponents. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Frack Notre Dame. Exactly. So, I mean, the school that gets to choose its opponents, and because they don't want to play in a conference. So, they're too big. All right. So, folks, we got our East, we got our West. So, that means that we will have an LSU Georgia championship game. So, and in this matchup, I am going to take the Georgia Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs will win the SEC championship this year. Not undefeated. I think they will still lose at Tennessee, but will overcome that loss by Tennessee having a few hiccups. And but folks, I was such a hard call. I would not be surprised to see Tennessee win this game either. So let me, before we move on, I want to check one thing real quick to see if I got it. Okay, I need to multitask real quick and bring something else up. So, but hey, folks, any other comments and stuff that you have, feel free to make them real quick. I need to take a look for another slide before I forget that to bring up. But yeah, we've got it. What do you think? Georgia, LSU? Do you think Tennessee, LSU? Make sure you voted in the poll. I need to take a look at that real quick in a second. But let me get through this and let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Just bringing up another slide. I didn't place it properly, so just trying to get it to bring up at the moment. So, all right. So where we go, we did that one. We do this one. Okay. All right. So we're bringing it back up. So what do you think? So JT Kirk, Notre Dame is so big. They got super duper butt hurt when MSU and U of Michigan took them off the schedule for a few years. Yes. Oh, Hungry voted. All right. Well, what we do this before we go down to the rest after this, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll in 10 seconds. So if you haven't voted, go ahead and vote. Wow, we got 10 votes. Wow. We got 13 likes, 10 votes. We got one more sub tonight. Hey, we're 446. We're going to get to 450 very soon, my friends. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We end the poll there, and Georgia is viewed as the SEC championship winner with 6 votes. Tennessee 2, Alabama 1, and LSU 1. So very, very interesting that we see that there tonight. All righty. So I was hungry for Kirby Creative. Vote or delete, mother. Oh, you guys kill me. But hey. All right. So beyond this, okay, so we got it. Georgia's my prediction. You see the records. It'll be interesting to see how if you remember last year, and folks, if you watch this on replay or if you're lurking or whatever, please consider watching these streams this year. In all seriousness, it's not all about football when we do the shows. A lot of it's about the human interest stories with the guests that I have, about their memories, stuff with football, with their families, with stuff like that. There were so many things last year that happened. So many great streams. I mean, we had a Mark coming in with his 12-0 with his strategy of, like, being an engineer and all this stuff and being very analytical. Whoopa comes in with his stuff, kicks my butt too with things. Ash comes in with his rolling the dice like 4 billion times to pick winners, and really neat to hear the stuff and to hear people's experiences with the game and the football. Misses with the bands and stuff like that with the way she picked teams. Squeaka with using cheese to pick the winners was one of the most interesting ones I've seen, and actually it was kind of funny. The cheese went wrong on one game. Had the cheese gone the other way where it should have once, I think she would have tied me that week. So, but hey, come for the stories, come for the fun, come for the laughs. We'll have some fun together, folks. All right. With that said, here's the lineup that's currently scheduled for this year so far. We got guests for every single week. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Whoopa uses Whoopa's a cool dude. I wouldn't say the super brain, but hey. But these are the scheduled guests for us next week. And I tell you what, I'm so honored that it's not been hard to find people that want to come on last year or this year. Guys, y'all got to come next Wednesday night. It's going to be the awesome Daisy Blossom Flower Child, one of my dearest friends. I've been getting to talk to a lot lately, and just knows a bit about football among a lot of other stuff out there. Come listen to her. And so, as we talk football, starting off in week 1, this week with Vanderbilt is week 0. Why do they call it week 0? No friggin' clue, but they do. So join me for that with Daisy Blossom Flower Child next Wednesday night. Then we will be shifting the show back to Thursdays throughout the season. And generally the shows will be at 8 p.m. In all cases. But we will put more information out the day of. Second show was the week of Texas Alabama. Is the Alabama fan O.C. Dobbins will be here for that game. Anthony, who is a very a related party to me, will be here no other than the Florida Tennessee week. So, hey, let's see. I can't. Let's see. Mrs. says, Whoopa, just ignore Dadman is jealous of your superior Big 12 Pokemon brain. Whoopa said, thank you. Hope you're doing well. And then Hunky Boy, Daisy kicks ass. I can't do it as well as Hungry Boy does, but yes. So then on that'll be the week of the Florida Tennessee game. A friend that we played Fortnite with that you might see in this chats on the Fortnite, B from O. His wife made his avatar there. He's our guest for the next week, followed by Small Time Republic. There are 2 Auburn fans back to back on the 21st and 28th. Make sure you're there for that. And somebody that it's so funny that the running into this guy is so coincidental in so many ways. I won't say it tonight, but a guy that's got a lot of passion for football and all sports, MC Wally, on October 3rd. We're going to take a week off because we're going to be out of the state. Of course, that's the one on Tuesday. That week will be Tuesday as well as the Thanksgiving week. But then we go back to Thursdays. JT Kirk. Wonder who that guy is. So, wonder who that guy is. That guy will be in October 19th. We got Mark D with a C returning to defend his perfect record on the 26th of October. AFK Bard's coming in. Going to look forward to being with AFK a bit. And then Florida LSU week. Got to have Jane Theory. I mean, Miss LSU, Miss Louisiana herself. That's going to be a fun one there with that one. And then, of course, some guy named Whoopa Troopa in November. So, yeah. Meteors. All right. Whoopa said, Alabama, Texas game, man. Two of my least favorite schools. Can I root for the Meteor? Oh, gosh. Yeah, JT Kurt wants to take both of those out. So, yeah, that's two at one. Yeah. All right. But hey. And then, of course, the final week, the week of Florida State, the rivalry of Florida. You got to have the Queen of Florida, Lorena Creole, come and talking football with me that week. So, of course, dates and guests are subject to change. Life happens, but we try to plan it out well in advance as we could. So, let me take this down real quick. And what I want to do is look at this here. And okay, that's what I was doing. So here, and because the missus made this wonderful thing, I wanted to show it and to show Daisy's beautiful avatar. Here is it there. So next Wednesday at 8 p.m., join me with Daisy Blossom Flower Child. She's so funny. I've given her the task to look up Utah Utes, the Utah football team. So she will join me next Wednesday night, folks. Make plans to be here. And let's see, that's really the only stream that I have planned in the next week. Because I will be taking a few days off going out of town this weekend. Maybe do a couple shorts or something. You never know. I might go live randomly. It just depends on the road, but we'll see how that goes. But it's going to be a fun week, fun weekend. But it's just going to be fun. That's all I can say. And have a few days off, slow down the streaming for a little bit, and come back, rest, refresh. We'll be getting stuff lined up for September coming up. Most of it will be football, but a lot of it probably will be chill chats with some guy named Hungry out there when I decide I want to stay up late at night, and JT Kirk, and do some random chill stuff, and then have some other scheduled guests on for some chilling with. So, but a lot of that's still to be determined and decided at this. So, let's see. Hungry said that not to be crass, but man boy peeing in the corner ain't an ending to a film. Oh, the Blair Witch. Yes, exactly. Yes, the Bland Witch Project. There you go. But folks, hey, thank you for being here tonight. Make sure you check out our live streams and videos all on YouTube and Twitch at Dadman Walking 55. My streaming schedule is on Dadman Walking 55 on Twitter or X or whatever it is. But listen, most of all, don't go for any substitutes just by the name. It needs to be at Dadman Walking 55. That's the official me. If it may have an avatar, if it says it's the same name, check that, because it ain't me. Everything is at Dadman Walking 55. So I appreciate y'all being again here. Thank you so much. We got 2 hours and 15 minutes. Georgia's predicted by you guys is going to be win the SEC title. So hey, that's awesome to hear. Thank you for the people that voted. Thank you everybody that came. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for the new sub I got at some point tonight, and 13 likes. Hey, make sure you hit the like button on the way out the door. And everybody, I will see you another time. Bye, guys.